Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Hart, and today I'll be breaking down the Thursday night football slate between the Ravens and the Buccaneers. $1 million to first place on DraftKings, so a ton of money for us to win. I'll be going over the best pay-up options for captain plays, flex plays, and punt plays on this slate. So if you're new to the channel or a returning viewer, hit that like button. Also subscribe, turn that notification bell. Really trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by Thanksgiving, so if you can hit that like button, subscribe, would really help out my channel, and I'd greatly appreciate it. Now let's get into the slate breakdown. I'm going to go team by team. So first off, we have Baltimore. Lamar Jackson at the top obviously looks fantastic. Whether that's a captain play, flex play, I really think, you have to have Lamar Jackson in your lineup. Really don't advise or suggest fading him. I just don't think it's realistic. Like some quarterbacks you can, like Monday night between, the Bears and the Patriots, you could easily faded either quarterback. Obviously fading Fields was riskier because he's like a Lamar Jackson where they're pretty much the whole team. They're going to run the ball a ton. They can also throw it. But Mac Jones on the opposite side obviously is not a runner, and he's not that good of a thrower, so easy fade there. Obviously with Lamar Jackson, you can't do that. 17-7 looks like a fantastic captain play. Has the upside when it comes to the 300-yard bonus on DraftKings. He's only hit it once when it comes to passing the ball, but he can still get you, one or two passing touchdowns in the game. Got 4 against New England. And then he could rush the ball a ton, averaging about 10 rushes a game. Can get you over the 100-yard bonus when it comes to rushing the ball. Touchdown upside as well. So he's one of those guys you can play in the captain spot. Really don't need anyone else on the Baltimore defense like you would with most captains, just because he has that huge rushing upside, and he's kind of just that whole team. So obviously great captain play, as we all know. Going to be super popular as a captain. I think he's a must-have flex for obvious reasons. Mark Andrews, love him, fantastic. Winning one of my leagues just because of him. Won last week, even when he got 0 catches, which was unreal. I know he's a little banged up when it comes to that calf, so maybe he wasn't feeling 100% in that Cleveland game. I do think they're going to hold him out of practices pretty much until this game, so maybe he's a little iffy, but I love pairing him, with Lamar Jackson. Obviously, they're number 1 and 2 on the offense. It's easy captain play as well. He has enough upside where Lamar Jackson can have that floor where he's not the optimal captain, and most likely it means Mark Andrews is going to have a huge game. As you can see from week 5 and 6, Lamar was under 20 fantasy points, and Mark Andrews was 22 and almost 27. So I think he makes for a great captain play, very safe flex play, and yeah, love them both. Gus Edwards looks decent. I'm going to switch to the normal pricing now. Lamar 11.8, Mark Andrews 9.2. Gus Edwards 7.6. Looks okay. I don't know if he has enough upside for a captain play. Maybe it would be very contrarian. The Tampa Bay defense did give up, a decent amount of rushing yards to Chuba Hubbard and Deontay Foreman. So you can definitely take that shot. He didn't play a ton of snaps. Let me pull up the snaps real fast for the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, in week 7, he played only 27%, or no, sorry, that's Kenyon Drake. Excuse me. He played only 30% of the snaps, 36% of the snaps, 23 snaps out of the total amount of snaps. So when he's in there, he's going to run the ball, not going to be too involved in the passing game, the backfield. So mostly they're just there to run it, and, he has that upside of, few touchdowns, but don't think to force it, just looks more as a contrarian play at 7.6. Bateman, as we saw from him, he played, got 5 targets, caught 4 of them for 42 yards, 8.2 fantasy points. He is more of that big play wide receiver, so I don't mind going there. Saw, 50% of the snaps, 56%. He's a guy who would be floating around that 60% snap range, which is kind of like the 100% for the Ravens, because obviously they're like doing double tight ends. No wide receivers. They run a bunch of different random formations. So a lot of the times, these wide receivers aren't going to be in the whole game when it comes to the snaps. But he's seen pretty much the 100% snap mark for the Ravens. So I don't mind taking a shot here. He's a big play wide receiver. Had 2, solid games to start the season. 13, almost 14 fantasy points and almost 24. So he, I'd feel safer playing him as a captain play than as a flex, being contrarian there. Otherwise, I don't have a ton of interest in him, but I do think you can make that just like dart throw on him as a captain if he gets a big play. Duvernay, just a little too pricey for me. Once again, he's the wide receiver 2 behind Bateman. Does have some upside, makes, I'd say, for a little bit better of, I wouldn't say better, I don't know. I'd say they're both kind of the same. I'd give the slight edge to Bateman being wide receiver 1, but both of them, they make for very risky flex plays, I believe. I'd rather get to, take that dart throw on one of them as a captain. Otherwise, I don't know if I can get to them. I just feel really safe. Obviously, Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson. Otherwise, I don't have a lot of interest on the wide receiver room for the Ravens. Kenyon Drake, 4,600. Got 11 touches, got 5 yards, got 1, target. I don't think you have to force it. 4,600, that's just more of a contrarian play. He only saw about 27% of the snaps. So they're not really, force feeding any one of these guys. I know Gus is coming back for injury, so maybe he'll get a little bit more. But Kenyon Drake just more of a contrarian play. Would really need him to fall in the end zone as a flex play. Don't think he has enough upside as a captain play. Ravens defense, 4,400. Tampa Bay has been turning over the ball a good amount. I think you could play him, but I just don't really suggest it. Justin Tucker looks like a safe play, 4,000. Obviously, a very good kicker, one of the best ever. So he'll be very popular at 4,000 as a flex play. I think that's pretty safe. Demarcus Robinson, I don't even know if he played last game. Let's take a quick look. 23% of the offensive snaps. Once again, if you want to, cheaper play, 2,800, you could look to him. Justice Hill saw a few snaps, 5 for 26. Can't get some targets out of the backfield. Maybe another cheap option you can go to at 2,400. Deshaun Jackson, maybe they're going to pull him up. I'm not sure if they are. I think there was rumors that he might be good to go for Thursday. So have to keep an eye out on that. You could take an absolute dart throw there that he plays, at least hopefully 10 snaps and catches a deep ball or 2. But otherwise, I think it's just super risky to play him. Likely he's going to play a few snaps. It favors if they're down. He'll play some more, but just one or more of those, kind of dart throw plays. Don't think you have to force that into anything. Richard, whatever you want to call him, is going to play a good amount of snaps. He played about 83% of the snaps last game, but he's obviously not too involved. Just kind of more of a fullback. Going to go in there and block, but he can get you some catches. Maybe they do a fullback sneak randomly and get you a touchdown there. But yeah, more of just a punt play at the flex for me at 1,400. That really does it for the Baltimore side. Tampa Bay side, a lot easier to kind of see where the offense is coming from. Or not, I'd say one easier, but we know it's coming from the main 3, or I guess I should say main 4 guys on offense. Mike Evans looks great at 11,000. He does have a little bit of a lower floor compared to a guy like Chris Godwin, but he obviously has a little bit higher of a ceiling. Tom Brady isn't afraid to target him with a ton of targets, so Mike Evans looks great as a captain play, very safe as a flex play. Same thing with Brady. Do think he can be an optimal captain just because of how well he spreads the ball out. Throwing the ball a ton, they just haven't been scoring or doing well. Really expect to bounce back here for the Buccaneers, so I don't mind him as a captain. I do think he'd be like 4th or 5th in the captain spot, maybe percentage-wise. So we'll have to keep an eye out on those percentage numbers, but I do like him a good amount in the captain spot just because he spreads the ball out to a ton of people. Chris Godwin, 9,000, looks very, very solid. Seeing a ton of targets. He's now playing closer to 100% of the snaps, which we do like, coming off those, recent injuries. A guy who is a safe floor, a little bit of a stunted ceiling compared to a guy like Mike Evans, but for the price difference, do think I prefer Godwin just a little bit. Leonard Fournette, 8.8K. We know he's going to get, at least, I'd say 15 touches a game, maybe even more if they're up. If they're down, he's going to see a bunch of targets out of the backfield. Throw out that Carolina game, just an absolute nightmare there. Before that, he saw, 6 targets for 6 catches, 11 for 10. So yeah, he has a bunch of upside. Could definitely play him as a captain play. Feel safer with a flex play from him, but don't mind him in either. Another guy I have a ton of interest in. Russell Gage, questionable. Doesn't look like he's going to go, but we'll have to keep an eye out on that. If he does, you could take, that dart throw as a flex play for him. Otherwise, I don't think I'd force it. Same thing with Julio. It looks like, it looks like Russell's not going to go. Looks like Julio might have a chance to go. If he plays, I just don't trust it. He's been banged up so much. I just don't think it's worth it. Last time he was coming off that injury, they said he's good to go. He played like a few snaps and didn't really play the rest of the game. So anything could happen where, Julio Jones tweaks an injury and he's not going to be playing. So don't think you have to force it there. Obviously, just a very contrarian flex play. Don't know if he's enough upside as a captain play. K. Dotton looks like a very, very good flex. 5,000. He's the main tight end. Doesn't look like Cameron Brate's going to be able to, return for this game. So K. Dotton's going to see most of the tight end snaps. Very solid game. 5 targets, caught 4 for 64 yards. Don't think he has enough upside as a captain play, so I'd feel safe with him in the flex. White is kind of seeing more of like a 60-40 split with Leonard Fournette. You can go there. I don't hate it, but I just don't like the price. I think it's more of a little bit more of a force into the lineup at 4-8, but he does have some upside, especially if they go down. They could look to throw him the ball a few times, and with full PPR on DraftKings, he could get you, 7 to 12 points depending on how well he does out of the backfield. Suck up looks decent. Everyone tends to flock to the better of the kickers on the slate, the guy who has better box score. Don't be afraid to go to suck up, even though their offense has been terrible. Kind of take that mindset of how the Bears played yesterday. Obviously, the Patriots look great compared to the Bears players. And what happened? The Bears players went off. Kyle Santos went off. And Nick Folk, who is having very solid games, did nothing. So it could be another game like that where maybe Justin Tucker doesn't do a ton and Ryan Suckup does. So I don't mind going to him. He looks pretty solid, 3,800. Defense, you can definitely do it. Lamar turns the ball over a good amount. There's always that chance of a defensive touchdown. I just don't really prefer playing him on the slate. Scotty Miller will see a few snaps, if Julio and Russell Gage are out again. He could see, I'd say maybe 10 snaps. Once again, just more of just like a dart throw in the flex play. Same thing with Perriman. If those guys are out, Perriman could see a few more snaps. I think I'd rather prefer taking a shot on Perriman compared to Scotty, just because he's a little bit bigger wide receiver. Tom Brady has shown that he'd rather throw it to Perriman at times than Scotty Miller. So I do prefer him for that price difference, only if, Jones and Gage are both out. Kyle Rudolph, going to see a few snaps. Only saw 1 target, caught it for 8 yards. It's mostly just K. Dotton's backfield. Cam Brate, as I said, doesn't look like he's going to play. If he does, for some reason, he's full go. Don't mind taking a shot. Obviously, at 800, he looks great. But I don't think he's going to be able to play, so it's going to be all K. Dotton, and then, Kyle Rudolph's going to spell him for like maybe 10 snaps. And that really does it for the Tampa Bay side. Not, really no one under 1,200 you can really, confidently get to. Unless, Gage and Jones are out, then you can definitely take a shot on a guy like Perriman and Scotty Miller. Otherwise, I'd just stay, 3,800 and above for the Buccaneers. I think as of right now, Tuesday night going into the slate, favorite captain play is, I think, Tom Brady. As bad as their offense has been, really banking on a little bit of a bounce back here. So I like Brady a good amount here at 15K. I know a lot of these guys are expensive, so it's going to be hard to get a ton of them in there, but I do like Brady a good amount. If you do that, obviously you're going to have to do at least, 1 or 2 of his wide receivers. I'd say at least 2. You can definitely throw Leonard Fournette in there. He's a guy who can get those touchdowns out of the or catches out of the backfield, so I don't mind him if you want to get contrarian instead of having to go to Godwin and Evans. But I'd say I'm just going to hold off on adding those guys. I think, you're going to have to get to Lamar Jackson just because of the upside in the floor. He's the whole offense. It's really hard. I don't really think you can fade him. And then I'd say I'll do one more. I do like Leonard Fournette a good amount. So I'd say right now these are my core plays. Obviously, it's very hard to get to a lot of people if you're going to do Tom Brady and Lamar Jackson. So maybe you can get different pay down for guys in the captain spot. Really hope they do well. But yeah, right now I'd say my core players, it doesn't, are Tom Brady, Lamar Jackson, and Leonard Fournette. And then we'll see how the injury news plays out. Maybe one of these guys gets, ruled out. Maybe one of the guys on the Buccaneer side gets ruled in. So once again, have to keep up with the news because we are looking at the slate about 2 days ahead. So once again, follow me on Twitter, DFS. I'll keep you guys updated. I'll let you guys know if my core plays changes. And if you like the video, like the breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe. It does really help out my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.